Hey, howdy. We're doing some more Yumatuki. I finally have time again now that I'm only working part-time, and fun fact, my work laptop is sitting right over there and it's open, and if anything ever, if anything pops up, I'll know to do it after I'm done with recording stuff. Because I'm in a situation where, oh my god, that's a lot of penguins. I'm in a situation where I can be a little bit more flexible with my time, and honestly, I'm fine with that. What do I even want to do today? Man, it's been so long since I've just had a day to play Tuki. Hmm. Let's start with the daily, because the daily is drop dead simple. Because it's just dark room. I think I ended up doing Virtual City and Rainy Apartments relatively recently, so I don't want to do it again. It's not for like a couple of episodes. I gotta account for that. Free Expedition, anything? Palebrick Basement. Okay, I actually haven't seen this one. But things have been good. Things have been good. Um, I've been doing a couple of like weird scattered things here and there. The beyond the stuff that I've already talked about, the main thing that I did that I kind of want to reference is I read a webcomic that I had never read before. And this is a rarity for me, because I very rarely read comics and webcomics, so I don't know. I went into it with the assumption of like, okay, this is kind of like it's a fairly well-known thing. But I had never experienced it myself, so, you know, maybe as someone who's never really interfaced with webcomics very much, I'm not gonna get a ton out of it. No, I got a lot out of it. Because what I ended up reading was, I ended up reading through Helvetica. What little there is. Now, if you've never heard of Helvetica before, sit down, let me tell you, because it's a wild ride. Helvetica was a webcomic that was, if I'm getting my numbers right here, it ran between, had to be like 2011 or 2012. And then, after a series of long pauses, ooh, wait, is there a mechanic here? Oh, there is! Wait, that's awesome. It's one of these. It's like there's something similar to this Delta Rune. I mean, speaking of Deltarune, so the thing with Helvetica is that it ran for a while, and then, like, on and off on various different hiatuses. Eventually, after 2017, the person who was making it just completely stopped making it. And, you know, whatever, it's their work. They're welcome to do whatever they want with their time, especially if it's not making them a lot of money and they want to do something that makes them cash. Good on them. It's hard to make a living as an artist. That being said, what's there is really, really, really good. And the reason why I think it's fitting that I brought up Deltarune is that someone who was a big fan of Helvetica and its style was Toby Fox. And he even cites Helvetica as a major, one of the things in his, like, bubbling witch's cauldron of inspiration for the design of Sands and Papyrus in Undertale and Deltarune. Or, I suppose, the design of Sands in Deltarune. I can't really say the design of Papyrus, because Papyrus is not in Deltarune yet, question mark? I don't know how that's gonna work. I could toss out my crazy theories, but it's so hard to make theories about Deltarune because Toby Fox is very self-aware, and from what I can gather so far, he is more than willing to just scrap an entire story beat because he looked online and saw that people already knew what was going to happen. Ooh. Ooh. Wait, is this a penguin moment? I think it is. Yeah. Awesome. I've never seen an area tutorialize using Penguin before. That's really interesting. Oh, cute! Wait, Burgundy Flats. I think I've seen this place. Just a cute. This is a really cute screenshot. Game night with the gals. I swear I've seen this place around, but I've never actually... Or I've seen this place around, like, on the wiki, and I think I've seen people reference it, but I've never been here myself. This is really nice. But Helvetica was amazing, and it was... It's kind of insane, the through lines for a lot of stuff that would eventually get incorporated into the modern public eye because of Undertale and Deltarune. Like, just thinking about the through line of Sans and Papyrus, characters that were inspired by characters in Helvetica, and Helvetica is very, very, like... I don't know this for certain, because obviously I don't know the person who made Helvetica, but I smelled Grim Fandango the entire way through. It is very, very... It feels very heavily inspired. And if you've never played Grim Fandango before, well, what are you doing? Go and play that, or at least watch a playthrough of it, if nothing else, because it's a point-and-click adventure game. So do with that what you will. Some of the puzzle solutions are a little obtuse / make zero sense, but when it's good, it's good. Grim Fandango's style and soundtrack are unparalleled. Oh, hello. This guy just let me into his room. Thanks. But the style of Helvetica is unbelievable. It's really, genuinely very funny, and it's got a lot of very cool, like, world-building qualities. Because, as you might be able to guess from the Grim Fandango comparison, if you've ever played or seen anything about Grim Fandango, it is a game, or it is a webcomic about the Land of the Dead. Ooh, Dream Precinct. Now, the rules are slightly different than they are in Grim Fandango. In Grim Fandango, the entire game is set up as a very direct homage to, like, Mexican culture and La Dia de los Muertos and stuff like that. So, it's more based around the afterlife, but more specifically the journey to the afterlife. And the purgatory that lies between and having to, like, perform certain rituals in life, or have your loved ones perform those rituals in life, so that your soul can be weighed and then you can make the journey to the afterlife to live happily. Otherwise, you're just stuck in purgatory. Now, Grim Fandango is like someone took those ideas and then made a mob film about it. I think that's the best way to describe it. Because it's the cities of the dead. So how would a like gangster mob plot even work? Because for one thing, none of them can die, at least not on paper. And they never got far enough in Helvetica to explain what happens when the dead die, but in Grim Fandango they explain it pretty early on. There's this whole world-building aspect to Grim Fandango surrounding getting sprouted. That instead of bullets, their guns shoot basically hollow point bullets full of seeds that shatter and fill someone with seeds that immediately sprout and turn them into a plant. It is a very, very cool idea. And they kind of like play with that. They play with that a lot. Like, there is a character later on in the game, and I know I'm just saying Grim Fandango spoilers, my apologies, but, you know, if you wanted to play it, go play it. Or go watch it. Don't let me stop you, I'm just a silly guy on the internet. Oh, right. That was where the holding cells were. Oh, wait. Morio's location's got an overhaul. Right, I completely forgot that that happened, but that did happen. I gotta go and check those out. Oh, this is cute! Wait, this is a really cute outfit. It's like a... Yeah, it's like a convict, orange-black prisoner outfit. Not really orange and black, but it's a prisoner outfit. But they kind of like, they play with that concept of how to kill the dead a lot, especially with the idea of sprouting, and it reaches a point where there's a character who you have to recruit who's a botanist. And when you think about how sprouting equates with death in the real world, someone who keeps flowers and is like obsessed with flowers and plants would naturally be a very, very different kind of person than the kind of person that would do that in the living world. It would be someone far more warped and sadistic. So that's one of the really cool aspects of it. What is this? Oh. Oh shit, wait, how long has this been here? Wait, where am I? Top left, yeah, shoot. Florist is right there, Techno-Condo. I haven't seen Drift Passage either, I don't think, so let's try for there next. See, this is what I love about this game, being able to just wander around and take in cool stuff while I yap. It's really nice. I could actually... Oh god, I have to pick. It's snowing, so if I read this map correctly, yeah, I could go to Techno Condominium right now. I've never actually used this shortcut, so I'm curious, where exactly does it take me? Is this a one-way? I think this is a one-way shortcut. Interesting. Well, I guess we're going to Lavender Waters now. Oh. No, we're not on the top floor. No, are we? Okay, we are. But unfortunately, Helvetica, like I said, it is not finished, and unfortunately, it is the kind of unfinished where they stopped literally right in the middle of an issue at the most climactic part. Because it was unfinished for the longest time in like a fairly, I'm not gonna say a milquetoast section, but a section where not a lot was happening, and it stayed like that for a couple of years. Oh. Oh, dang it. I thought I got the rare bat variant for a second. Oh, right. It's been so long since I've done Techno-Condo, I always go the shortcut route. I'm getting distracted. But I forgot, you have to sit here for a while until the moon appears. Anyway. It ended on like a fairly milquetoast section at first, and then a couple of years went by, and the creator made a couple more panels. Things got really heated, and then that was 2017, and that was when they fully stopped making panels for Helvetica, which, quite frankly, I don't blame them, because it was stretching between, like, 2011 and 2017 with, like, fairly regular breaks of, like, a couple of weeks to a couple of months between panels. It was going to take a long time to finish that. So maybe it was the right call to move on and, like, get help from other people so that they could make an issue, make, like, issues of a comic that could be, like, more self-contained and could be made faster. But at the same time, I really, really like their style, and I hope they eventually go back to it. Because I'm pretty sure they're still active on Tumblr. And I'm sure they get, unfortunately, since they are on the internet, they probably get nonstop questions asking, like, when are you going to do Helvetica again? When are you going to do Helvetica again? So I'm not envious of their position, but at the same time, it would be really cool if they kept doing it. Though if they are burnt out, I'm not going to force them. Burnout sucks, and it's best to go work on other things so you don't end up tarnishing your other better works with a lack of new lack of passion from just doing the same thing over and over again for 5-6 years. It's the same reason why I'm happy Toby Fox has taken his time with Deltarune. It can be as good as it needs to be, and Toby Fox can work at exactly his own pace and not burn himself out. And I mean, he's flush with cash just because of Undertale, so he has all the time in the world. I always forget which of these paths is right. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we are. So I did that. Oh, right. Wait, this is much cooler. So I ended up watching the new Fantastic Four movie. Finally, after much deliberation and thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm never gonna watch this movie. I'm never gonna watch. It's an MCU movie. I'm too busy. Finally, the stars aligned. I had free time. I had friends who were willing to see it with me. I went in and I watched it, and oh my god, that was the best MCU movie I've ever seen. It was not a perfect movie, I'll say that much. However, as someone who has been a fan of the Fantastic Four for actually like 10 years at this point, it was a extremely pleasant movie. The writers clearly did their homework. My one complaint is that it was a set dressing movie for later MCU stuff, so it was already a really crowded movie, a lot had to happen, and then there was also the stuff that was very obvious sequel bait that they also had to stuff in there. If it was, it really makes me wish that they were, like, self-contained movies, God forbid. But what was there was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I'll admit the Fantastic Four is kind of a dated... Like, they're kind of a dated group of superheroes, frankly, because it's... not necessarily poking fun, but, like, it aligns a lot with the, stereotypical 40s through 60s nuclear family ideology that just doesn't really hold up in the modern day anymore, but that also means that it's a lot harder to write plots for it and have the story beats actually hit for modern audiences. You end up in kind of a weird situation. Like, okay, so this is like, we already know that family is family, and family will conquer all. You know, we both seen enough... We've seen enough movies to know exactly what how that narrative goes. And I think everyone in Hollywood kind of agrees that it is a really boring plot nowadays. Because it's been done so many times. It was the quintessential plot for the longest time for any kind of family movie or family comedy, or superhero movies were especially guilty of this, especially those aimed at younger children. So, you know, the MCU. So, writing a story like that in a compelling way is not easy at all. But they managed it. They genuinely managed it. And their secret sauce was, I don't even know how to describe it. Their secret sauce was to do a lot of things that felt very mature and adult. Not necessarily in a raunchy way, but in a way of, like... Okay, how would a group of adults actually respond to this situation? It didn't feel super over the top, and hate to call him out directly, but it didn't feel like Kevin Feige was the one directing it, because they actually talked like people. Mostly there was still that like overarching MCU problem. They still can't write real character dialogue to save their lives, but it felt a lot more real than usual. It's not just it's not just you have a whole bunch of to-do lists for each of the characters and things that they have to say and ideas that they have to get across, and once all of those to-do lists are checked off, the movie ends. It felt a lot more natural. But I really liked the characterization of all four of the Fantastic Four. I really liked Galactus. He was well animated. Silver Surfer was really well animated. I liked the casting, I believe. Silver Surfer is played by Julia Gardner, if I recall correctly, and she did a great job. Um, I was skeptical about Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards because I wasn't entirely sure whether he could pull it off. I just didn't like my mental image of what Reed Richards looks like just didn't really align with what I was expecting Pedro Pascal's performance to be, but he kind of nailed it. He did amazing. Um, oh, what is her name? I believe Suzanne Collins. If I'm getting that name correct, I might be thinking of someone else, but the actress who played Susan Storm was also amazing. She did a really, really, really good job. And I mean, hey, Ralph Ineson as Galactus was also very, very entertaining. It's just because it's really hard to make a character like Galactus actually menacing because just look at him. Galactus has a very goofy early comics vibe, and it seems like for both Silver Surfer and Galactus, they tried their best to stayed within the goalposts while still like tweaking it so that the characters looked a little less silly. And I feel like it paid off. Galactus looked very menacing, and Silver Surfer looked great and didn't just look like a weird alien. My one complaint is that Galactus was a little bit too evil. Like, I always kind of picture him as being, like, perfectly neutral embodiment of cosmic hunger, but they made him into a Saturday morning cartoon villain a little bit. Didn't really harm the movie at all. It's just, as someone who's read a whole bunch of Fantastic Four comics, I was just sitting there like, okay, that's a little bit much. Like, down to there being a moment of supervillain almost falls into trap made by the heroes and then comically stops right before and says, "You thought you could get me." Like, it was a little bit much, but it was still fun. At the end of the day, the problem that I had when I was rewatching Infinity War with some friends is that after a certain point, you kind of just get sick of it. There's so many design decisions that are just like hallmarks of Marvel Studios, especially after Guardians and especially after Infinity War. And it gets so exhausting to see those same exact story beats laid out the exact same way every single time. But it was fresh. It was fresh and it was new, and it took itself at least semi-seriously. I'm not huge on Doomsday. We'll see how that goes. Several problems. The main problem being, for some reason, they're calling it Avengers Doomsday, even though, the Avengers don't exist anymore. I guess there's technically the Thunderbolts, but no. The Thunderbolts do not count. The Avengers, as we would think of the Avengers, no longer exist. All of them have retired / their contract ran out and are now in universe and out of universe, are in the Bahamas somewhere retiring. Except Robert Downey Jr., which I think might be the funniest part of this movie for me. Because there is a little Easter egg, and I mean there were a ton of Easter eggs referencing other Fantastic Four stuff and referencing like future movie stuff that most of the time felt fairly natural compared to some of the other MCU movies I've seen. The one that stuck out to me that was kind of clever was there was a United Nations scene near the beginning of the movie, and it was like just like, you know, doing roll call and like camera shots around the room. And it focuses for a brief second on a United Nations seat that was empty from Latveria. And Latveria is the country that Doctor Doom is from. Ambiguous Eastern European country because that like whole aspect of Doom's character was written back during the Cold War era. So Doctor Doom hails from a war-torn slash former slash currently communist country, which is really funny in retrospect. There's even a comic called I think the comic is called "This Land Is Mine," if I remember correctly, because there's just a I remember seeing a cover that was all of like the normal stuff and like the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and like this is what happens in this issue. All of that was there, but it was way more muted, and it was literally just Doctor Doom standing in frame and yelling, "This land is mine," and it was awesome. That's one of my favorite one of my favorite Fantastic Four issues. I think that one was really cool. But that entire issue revolved around Doctor Doom going to the Fantastic Four and going, I don't like a single one of you. Maybe Susan Richards. I don't like any of you. However, my homeland has been overtaken by an actual communist dictator, and I need your help to get it back. And that aspect is just really, really funny to me. Because especially considering the time period that it came out in, of like, 80s, possibly even early 90s, depending on how long they like reprinted and reused that story. That's really funny to me. It's the same kind of thing as like I remember reading a Spider-Man comic at one point where they reintroduced the Green Goblin, as they do every 3 months or something like that. They gotta bring him back because he's one of the classic guys. But they brought back the Green Goblin, except he was a terrorist, and that was his thing. He was working with, like, whatever, I almost said MCU. Whatever, like, Marvel Comics equivalent at Al-Qaeda. Because it was the early 2000s. And that is kind of hilarious to me. I don't really know where I'm going at this point. I think I'm gonna pop into Bug Maze. And maybe, like, go to the Scenic Outlook, or poke around in some other places. I still gotta play Yuma Graffiti. I'll get there eventually. I really like how desolate this area is. It kind of makes me wonder, is this area just really long? This might be the rare 1 in 1 million situation where I actually might want to use Tissue Box. Is this just a really long section, or does it loop? No, right, it doesn't loop, because it leads here, and this leads to nothing? Right, it's just a weird tree. Tree, question mark. Back to what I was saying about Doctor Doom, though. It's gonna be really funny because Robert Downey Jr. is currently cast as playing Doctor Doom. And he shows up in the post-credits scene, and it is silly as hell because he's Robert Downey Jr. Like, at the end of the day, he is Robert Downey Jr., and he is going to be playing this, like, Eastern European warlord supervillain, and I can't wait. It's gonna be insane. Eastern European warlord super villain who has like frankly pretty similar powers to Iron Man. A lot of the powers feel comically similar. That is gorgeous. Oh my god. Whoa, wait. This is Rockbound Beach? I'll have to go here next time. Wait a minute. But yeah, I cannot wait for that and how that's gonna work. It's gonna be funny. I forget. No, wait, I think if you go back and... Let me check, actually. If you go back in this UFO, does it just take you back? No, right. It takes you back to apartments. Oh god, and it's doing the thing again. PETA, the UFO is back. Alright, I'm good. I'm good for now. Well, that was fun. I always love coming back to this game. There's so much cool stuff. And I'm definitely going to Rockbound Beach next. That looks really cool. But that's all I got for now. Thanks so much for watching, y'all.